just opened up the greenhouse for the morning and it was smoking in there. So this thing definitely does what it's supposed to do. Now this greenhouse is nothing fancy. I picked this up off of Facebook Marketplace. It's been years ago now, for practically nothing. And got it home, eventually got it all put together, and it was missing one panel back here in the back that I just replaced with a piece of the plastic corrugated stuff you can get at your big box store. And this thing is held up. I mean, it's been through some no joke winds. I mean, we get 80-mile-an-hour gust out here in the valley at times, and it's had a snow load on it and everything else. I mean, this is only what, 6 by 8, so it's not a huge greenhouse. And to be honest, Amanda has outgrown it this year, but she is killing it here in the greenhouse. She's got all kinds of cut flower starts, vegetable starts, a lot of dahlia stuff going on in here. She's got tubers popping up. She's got dahlia starting from seed. So this has really been a labor of love for her this spring. She's learning a lot of new skills. She's had a heck of a time getting seeds to start the last couple years, and messed around and experimented with some different potting mixes, and finally found one that's working. And all of her seeds are having an excellent germination rate, and things are just really coming in and looking good. And she is very excited. And now I just have to get off my behind and help her get some things set up so she can start planting, which we'll get to here in a minute. But let's peek out here in the garden. She just put some seeds in the ground last week, and we've already got some of those popping up, germinating. Here's our big comfrey plant, which needs to get cut back. But man, I love that thing. I want to take some of the root cuttings from it and move them to various parts of the farm. Now, if you're not familiar with comfrey, I think this is a Russian version. It does not go to seed, so it's not going to become invasive per se, but the roots on these things are absolutely prolific. So if I was to dig this up and not get every bit of the root, whatever root's left is going to produce another plant that's going to look just like this eventually. So you can take a huge root and cut it into little 1-inch pieces and plant those around, and they will produce a comfrey plant. Now these are supposed to be good for healing. If you have a cut or something like that, you just kind of have to be careful, because I hear they can be a little too good at times and make things heal a little too fast. But anyway, there's a lot of information out there on the webs about comfrey you can go and check out. And here's the bed next door. As you can see, she's got some more starts coming up there, looking real good. A couple little weeds poking up, but anytime you're dealing with a garden, even if you're dealing with raised beds, there's the potential that you're going to spend a few years plucking weeds and just getting things under control. But the good thing about these is if you're careful with them, watch what you put into the soil. What you put in is what you're going to get back. And obviously you want that good living soil. A lot of, not just worms and stuff like that, but a lot of the microorganisms that get down into that soil, establish a habitat, and are very beneficial to the growth of your plants. You want to encourage that type of soil growth, and it just takes a little bit of time. So these beds are only a couple years old, and I expect by the time we get a couple years down the road that these will look vastly different as far as the quality of the soil. Are they going to grow and become bigger beds? Absolutely not. You get what you get. I mean, some of this will eventually start to break down. I think some of these are cedar, some of these might be black. No, actually that's Osage over there. This might have been all Osage. So these should last a pretty good while. Now I have another bed that has some cedar logs we use, so I expect those to be around for a bit too. But we got some weeds coming up back there, no big deal. We'll eventually get those taken care of. It doesn't do you any good to have a garden and not be able to come out and enjoy it. So this is just kind of an aside here. If you're gonna put the work in the evenings, we get a lot of shade on this side of the garden, and it's absolutely a gorgeous spot to come out here and sit and just kind of kick back and watch the birds and the bugs, and you know, your plants do what they're doing when they're happy and healthy. So, you know, always allocate a little bit of space for yourself, in my humble opinion, inside your garden, so you can sit back and enjoy it. So this is the new bed in the garden this year. This is one we moved around from the front of the house, and it is Memorial Day weekend here, so normally we don't put any plants in the ground until around that time. And it was low 40s yesterday morning, so I don't think we're going to get another surprise frost. But you know, this is the weekend that you can normally safely start to plant plants in the ground here in the northern Shenandoah Valley. Now we're zone 6B, so anybody else in zone 6B, you know, there are microclimates if you want to think about it. Like I left here the other morning, the temperature was 41. I get 2 miles up the road and it's 46. You know, that is a pretty significant temperature swing, especially if you're hovering down around freezing. These right here are horseradish, and to be honest, I just love the way they look. They're freaking awesome. So there's a few of them in there. Now horseradish is similar to the comfrey. You can propagate it from root cuttings. Obviously horseradish, the crop there is the root, if you like making those spicy things. So eventually we will harvest some of this and see what we can make from it. So we got some marigold coming in right here. Marigold is a good plant to plant with your tomatoes. It's supposed to be a pet deterrent. We've kind of always done it. These marigolds are looking really nice this year, so use these grow bags a little bit. This has got probably onions or garlic in it. I don't remember which one. I'm thinking maybe this is garlic, considering some of the other ones look like they have onions. We got some yarrow growing along the wall there. This is one of Amanda's little ornamental pots here. So yeah, it looks like onions there, and onions in a couple of those other ones. These right here need to get pulled out and moved around. Those are Jerusalem artichokes. Some people may know them as fartichokes. You can eat the tuber that comes off those, but depending on how you handle it, they can make you pretty gassy. So we did lose a good bit of our lavender last year. You know, it happens, but Amanda has sourced some and got most of it replaced. Now these are culinary varieties, and I kind of know the names, kind of don't, but anyway, there used to be a row of one and a row of the other, but I think in this year's replanting they got a little mixed up. Regardless, doesn't matter, you can eat both varieties that we have here in the garden should we choose to do so, but not really what we do with our lavender right now. Amanda will dry it out and use it for various things, but it sure is pretty when it gets going. All right, so back over here in this corner we have another rose that's popping up there, looking really good. I love those white roses. We got some mint popping up here. These are things that have been in this garden probably for a long time. We try to keep some of them at bay. As you know, if you've ever tried to grow mint, it can take over pretty quickly. And here we have goji berries. Some grass poking up there, but these are all goji berries here. So we got our Russian kale that bolted. I got some lettuce coming in. This needs to get cut back, but we've just kind of really enjoyed how it's been looking, so we've left it alone. Now the bulk of the planting coming up is going to go into our vegetable beds here. We've already got a few things planted here. We got a marigold right there. We got some nasturtium growing. Onions back over there. I think we got a few carrots back over here. Some things that are popping up that Amanda has some covers on here. Looks like more carrots. So yeah, these beds will start getting vegetables put in them here soon. And like I said, she's got a lot of those starts in the greenhouse. Now we have just some herbs here. We've got chives, which are looking good. So this is a fun little bed. But there's a few more things I think she's going to plant in it this year. So yeah, that's kind of, you know, just a quick rundown of where the garden's at right now. And like I said, this is the end of spring. So basically what we've been doing up to this point, it's just a lot of cleanup, getting things ready. Now we're gonna Probably clean out those grow bags and move some of that stuff around. Some of those are just things that have overwintered in those bags. Some of them may move out here into one of these garden beds, but we'll see. Looks like we got some peppers growing right there, so she probably put those in recently. So yeah, it is gorgeous. Love this garden. It's come a long ways. It's definitely getting a lot easier to take care of. And you know, once again, we put down landscape fabric and a lot of mulch, but we still have, you know, some grass and stuff that pops up that we have to manage. But you know, as the years progress and things go on and more layers of mulch go down, this will get just a lot easier to take care of. So, but I think we've got this to the point to where we have a nice garden that we can grow a lot of what we want. Now, we're not doing potatoes and things like that in this garden. There's not the volume of space here needed for things along those lines. But yeah, it's just a really nice garden. Once again, this is all reclaimed Trex. We had a friend who did a renovation out where their deck was, and we took all the old decking from them. And I made these garden beds out of it. And I think they're looking really good. Been here for a few years now, and you know, one thing about, so you know, these are 1.5 foot high, give or take. So when we initially filled these up, we put some wood in the bottom. So obviously, as that wood settles, as it decomposes, we have to come in and top these off on a yearly basis. But it made it a little less painful to get these filled to the point where we could start growing in them. So just an option there. You know, dirt is not cheap at your box stores, and if you don't have a supply from somewhere else. And really, it's not just dirt. It's, you know, it's good dirt, good topsoil, good compost to mix with it to make a decent, you know, growing medium for your plants. So we had this spot, and it's hard to tell on camera, but everything slopes this way coming down the hill, and getting these beds put in and getting them level was not easy. But these are 3 foot wide, 6 foot long, and at least 2 foot high. So these are a lot more substantial than we had anticipated. But we got about a 20-something foot run here, and managed to squeeze these 3 beds in and get them somewhat level and looking good. So that was a chore in and of itself. But we're going to put some partial sun, shade loving plants in here. As you can see, they get some morning sun. You know, the sun's coming from this direction right now, and it's going to come across, and then there's going to be a lot of shade, and then you'll get some dapple sun in the evening coming through these trees and stuff back over here. So yeah, these are, I'll drop a link in the description as to where we got these, but you know, these are some of the probably finest Chinesium you can get. They were, I couldn't tell you what the cost was. I don't think it was anything too extensive, or Amanda wouldn't have bought them. She's pretty thrifty when it comes to this stuff. I got a lot of native plants from some of our local nurseries. So the goal this weekend is to at least get this middle bed planted out. You know, we'll have to see if we can get the time and all the dirt and compost required to come in here and get the other 2 filled up and ready to go, because it is Memorial Day weekend and we got a full plate. But yeah, I think these look really good right here. Eventually I'm going to come in and maybe put some lattice or something behind them, just to kind of hide the storage under the deck. You know, we got canoes and kayaks and all other kinds of stuff under there. So, but yeah, these are looking really good. And those hydrangea back there are going to be absolutely gorgeous when those things really mature. I mean, they're beautiful right now. But so she's going for a black and white theme, if you can't tell, with some of the darker foliage there and the white flowers. But she has a vision, and I'm just the unskilled labor trying to help her achieve that vision. All right, so here's the big project. So these are farrowing and weaning pens where these 2 houses are. This one back here is inside the boar paddock. I started taking the hog panels down. I need to get those moved. and I need to pull all of these T-posts. And what we're going to do is start working this ground, and this is going to become a very large cut garden bed for Amanda's dahlias, and she may have some zinnias and a few other things that she wants to plant. She really loves cut flowers, and we've done, I guess, various experiments over the years with, you know, had varying success with the plants growing and whatnot. So we have some ideas. She wants to get a lot of plants in the ground this year, try to hone her skills on some seed saving and overwintering tubers and stuff from the dahlia standpoint. So the first part of that is getting out here and getting this ground worked and getting some beds ready to go. So it's going to take some time, intensity, and resources to get them ready. This ground is not going to be the best, but we have all this space out in here to work with. So yeah, we're looking at you know, some maybe 30-foot long beds. And I hate to say it, but I think right now she may have 100 different dahlias started, and I'm not sure how many other varieties of cut flowers. So, you know, we're gonna have to look at row spacing and plant spacing and heights and things along those lines to make sure that we kind of have a good plan when we start putting these in the ground, that the plants are getting what they need. And once again, the soil here is not that great. It's heavy clay. Now, there's been a lot of pig manure and things like that on it, so there'll be some beneficial stuff going on. But yeah, we're gonna have to probably dig down and make some planting beds and fill it with a good soil mix, and you know, it'll just be something that we build upon over the coming years. Once again, time and money, so it's getting it all laid out. But we're going to start working on that this weekend so we can start getting some of these other plants ready to get put in the ground. And anyway, hopefully this will inspire someone to go out and do some work in their garden, start planning for a garden. You know, this is not an overnight thing. We have worked diligently for 5 or 6 good years to get this garden to this point, and we've gone through several iterations, from just planting or tilling and hoeing up rows and planting to, you know, where we are now with raised beds. But I think it looks good. So yeah, tell us what you think, what your ideas are, what you got planned for your garden, what you'd like to do in your garden. All right, everybody, we got these beds planted out, and I'll say it took about 15 bags of topsoil, and I think we put an additional 5 bags of cow manure compost in here. There's going to be some settling that goes on. We do have some wood pieces in the bottom that, as those decompose, this will settle as it rains and, you know, dirt gets in its nooks and crannies. So we got hydrangea in the back. We got some coral bells here, heuchera. This is obsidian. And then we got some Bowman's root, these little plants up front here. So coral bells, Bowman's root, hydrangea, and those are the foundational plants in each one of these for right now. So far so good. Now there is a support structure that runs in between the front and back of the bed to keep them from bowing out, which presents some challenges if you're going to plant something directly in the middle of the bed. But we managed to work around it basically by just splitting the plant with the bar that runs on the top. So it's not through the root, it's through the plant that's above the ground, but seemed to work out just fine. So anyway, looking good.